Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org.
Talking with the Experts.
Ambitious and successful business owners think differently. In episode 456, Eileen McDowell explains how using our superpowers is helpful.
When that new synaptic connection is created, and we think about that connection over and over and over again, it builds larger and larger and larger. So when it's used, it goes larger and larger and larger, just like a muscle. And so when a muscle grows larger and larger, that's the muscle, that's the significant muscle, and the one that the body wants to use all the time. Just like a pathway, if you have grass that's grown up and there's no pathway there, and you walk through it once, then you can kind of see a pathway. But the more that you walk through that pathway, the larger the pathway gets and the more obvious it gets and the more inviting that pathway gets. The subconscious is the same way. You build a new synaptic pathway, you use that pathway over and over and over again. Before you know it, when you're not thinking about the old pathway because you're using the new pathway of yes, I can, that's the way the subconscious goes and says, great, we are surviving here. That's the direction we're going. This is protection. Let's go there. And then that's
Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it at all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my guest is Eileen McDowell, and we're going to be discussing mental and emotional wellness using hypnotherapy for success. Now that's a different take on how we can be successful in our businesses. Now, Eileen is a Los Angeles native with 25-year experience as an entrepreneur. She's a therapist. She's a clinical hypnotherapist, and speaker with expertise in human consciousness, performance enhancement, self-care, and motivation. She is well-versed in leadership, motivation, and personal transformation, as well as finding and living your life purpose and mind, body, soul alignment. As a skilled licensed professional counsellor and clinical hypnotherapist, she is an expert emotional health and wellness expert. Her message goes far beyond self-care and encompasses the deepest questions of mind, body, and soul connection for self-fulfillment and explosive success. Welcome, Eileen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, we don't often think of using hypnotherapy as a way to succeed in business. So tell me, how did you arrive here at this point in time, and why is hypnotherapy so good for us?
Oh, I love that question. So I have been in the therapy industry for far beyond a decade, and I had, clients coming in and out for years and seeing progress, but a slow progression. And I thought that there has to be something more. Why so slow? Why is this, I just want to heal and then let them fly off like the beautiful butterfly that they are, the birdie. And it just wasn't happening. It was just so slow and boring. And hypnotherapy hit me in the face when I was suffering from PTSD myself. And it progressed into, I have to add this modality to my experiences. And then it just built into this, so the stats are is hypnotherapy is 93% effective in 6 sessions or less, when talk therapy takes 600 sessions to achieve the same goal. And then it hit me, of course, 4.5 years on average for someone to achieve the same thing that could happen in 6 months or less was unbelievable to me. And I added it to my modality, and it is the only one for the most part that I use. For younger kids, it's different, but for entrepreneurs, 100%. Under 6, it usually takes 3 or 4, and then they get past, whatever it is that they need to get past. It is truly incredible.
Hypnotherapy gets right down to the subconscious, doesn't it? Where
Sure
talk
does.
therapy, most times you're reliving the trauma that caused you to be in the state that you're in the first place. I have found myself that I've been to psychologists, and they want you to relive the trauma and then come up with ways to get over that trauma. But to me, I don't want to relive the trauma. I think that's why psychology hasn't been a success for me, because I just don't want to have to go through all that. So getting to the subconscious in the first place, so you're sort of bypassing the having to relive whatever it is that's causing you stress, can only be of more benefit and heaps more helpful.
Absolutely. And you beautifully segued into exactly what I wanted to say next, was that the subconscious is an amazing feature. So the subconscious is 95% of our thoughts. So think about that. 95% of our thoughts is subconscious. Our conscious mind is only 5%. So when we're thinking about 5%, what we think is in control is this little tiny rider on this huge bull. And this bull is like a child. So the thoughts that the subconscious had was created when we were children. And it's just the action of the subconscious is to keep us safe. And so it creates these actions that thinks that it's keeping us safe. But as we grow older, those thoughts and processes aren't the same. So when we're an adult version of ourselves, we can handle much more than the subconscious thought that we could when we were 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And so it creates this action process that doesn't make any sense as an adult. And so when we end up going into entrepreneurship, and we have thoughts that say, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, I can't do the things that I need to do, I can't get up in time, I can't spend the amount of hours that I need to take to create a business for myself, because all of us as entrepreneurs already know that it's not a 9-to-5 job. It is way more than that.
Oh,
and you have to do that for
absolutely.
many years. Yes. And I can't do that. Oh, I'm tired. All these things, all these narratives that we say. When we say that narrative, the subconscious goes, oh, yep, you're right. Okay, I'm going to make that happen. I can't do this, and I'm going to make darn sure that you're not going to do this, and I'm going to make you tired at 9 o'clock every day. It's amazing what the subconscious will do. So our mind controls our body. And so the words that we say and the pictures in our head will create the scenario for our body. So if we say, I cannot stay up past 9, I cannot stay up past 10, I cannot do more than 12 hours of work, I can't do more than 16 hours of work, I can't do more than 40 hours of work in a week, your subconscious will make darn sure that happens. But if you tell your subconscious, I can, then you will. And it's literally that easy.
Yeah. I've been doing some work on myself in that, using the I am and a positive statement after that quite a lot, so that I get over the imposter syndrome that I suffer from on an ongoing basis. And so and it is helping. It's helped me to become a lot more confident in how I'm dealing with my life in general. So It is helpful. I mean, even self hypnotherapy is really helpful, and it really does. If you repeat it, I usually do it for about 30 days, and it usually works for me. So by the end of the 30 days, I don't even notice the change, but there is a change.
That's right. And it's so slow and so progressive that people don't actually know. So having some kind of gauge. So in the beginning, I feel a number 3 out of 1 through 10 of motivation. And then after 2 weeks, you go back and say, okay, how motivated do I feel? Well, today, the past few days, I've been feeling a 5 or 6. And then you slowly feel that progression. That's the downside of therapy in general, not hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, all of it, is that, the progression isn't like my wound is healing. You can see it. The progression is inside itself. And so you have to really be focused and pay attention to that. But also, the imposter syndrome is so interesting. And that is one of the biggest downfalls for entrepreneurs, is the messaging of, am I really worth it? Am I really enough? And in hypnotherapy, what's so interesting is when I have the conversations with the subconscious, and mind you, hypnotherapy is not stage hypnosis. It's not a trance state where you're not, active. It is a state of, I am speaking directly with the subconscious. I'm speaking back and forth with the client and talking about, where these thoughts and processes come from. The imposter syndrome is so interesting because it is directly tied to I'm not enough. And 99.9% of the time, we can always go back to it's not enough.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. We all, it depends on your conditioning, as you grow up. And as an adult, sometimes that's so ingrained that it's really hard to get, out of your brain. And it takes a lot of work to realize that, yes, you are enough. You are worthy. You are not a fake. You do have all these skills. You do have all this knowledge. You just need to be able to have the confidence to believe in yourself. And sometimes
Absolutely.
that's quite difficult.
Yes. And it really is just a matter of repeating it over and over and over again. So scientifically speaking, so we're talking, hypnotherapy. Okay, that's woo-woo kind of weirdness, right? And especially in the Western society, that is my mission, is to make sure that we all understand that how powerful our mind is. And it's thousands and thousands of years old. So with the mind, when we have a new thought, so our old thought is, I cannot build a business. How could I possibly build a business? And then the new thought is, heck yeah, I can build a business. Then that's what we build on. That is the new synaptic highway. So scientifically, there's a new synaptic connection. When that new synaptic connection is created, and we think about that connection over and over and over again, it builds larger and larger and larger. So when it's used, it goes larger and larger and larger, just like a muscle. And so when a muscle grows larger and larger, that's the muscle, that's the significant muscle, and the one that the body wants to use all the time. Just like a pathway, if you have grass that's grown up and there's no pathway there, and you walk through it once, then you can kind of see a pathway. But the more that you walk through that pathway, the larger the pathway gets and the more obvious it gets and the more inviting that pathway gets. The subconscious is the same way. You build a new synaptic pathway. You use that pathway over and over and over again. Before you know it, when you're not thinking about the old pathway because you're using the new pathway of yes, I can, that's the way the subconscious goes and says, great, we are surviving here. That's the direction we're going. This is protection. Let's go there. And then that's your new pathway. And then before you know it, you're building this crazy business that you didn't even know you had inside you.
Yep, absolutely. And it really is all to do with, how your brain operates. And, a lot of people, suffer from anxiety, depression, all those sorts of things. And I know that hypnotherapy can work on both of those things and and you're right, people have the wrong idea about hypnotherapy being like, the stage and they'll make you into a chicken and all sorts of things. It's not like that at all. You're actually conscious. You're not, you're not asleep. It's just quiet.
It's like a meditation.
Yeah, pretty much like a guided meditation, basically. Yeah, thank you for that, because I couldn't quite think of what I was gonna say, but it's what it is. It's really just guided meditation and getting to the deepest levels of your mind to change those thought patterns.
That's right. And so the online meditations are extremely effective. But the trouble is that each of us are so different. And so what might affect me and might cause my imposter syndrome might be different for you. And so my mother might have told me that I'm a terrible writer and I desire to be a writer. But for you, your father might have told you that, you're not a princess, and then that holds you back. And so the beauty of hypnosis is we can go into the subconscious and ask the subconscious, what is it that created this in the first place? And then you can let that go individually and then blow up whatever it is that your desire is once you let that stuckness go.
Yeah, it's the stuckness, I think. And some people can be, or some people's subconscious can be a little bit stubborn and they don't want to give up the control that they have. And that's where a lot of the issues lie, because they want to keep hold of you. The subconscious wants to keep hold of you and doesn't want to let go of the power that they have over you.
Yes. So the job of the subconscious is to keep you into what is familiar and to push you away from what is unfamiliar, because what's unfamiliar is unsafe. So what is familiar is the thought processes that you have had for generations, right? Or not generations, for decades. Right. So you had a thought process that started at age 5 and now you are 55, and that is comfortable. And so to get away from the same thought process, the same imposter syndrome that you had for so long, is really scary and not safe. And so it is going to do everything that it can to keep you away from that new synaptic highway. So the beauty, again, of hypnosis is to allow the subconscious to say, hey, we talk to the subconscious directly. Listen, we understand that you were 5 when you created this part. And this part has worked so long. And we are so grateful for this part that has worked so long. But we're an adult now. We're 55. And we want to create this new environment, this new future. And would it be okay if we let you go and we created a new part that would allow this? And when you approach it in that way, it is so easy to allow these pieces to let go and then create a new, it's really a new scenario. And so then we record that in the hypnosis, we record that, and it's about 30 minutes. And then the client will listen to that every night before they go to bed for 30 days to hone in, to pathway out that synaptic highway. And so then the subconscious completely forgets about that old child, right? The child that we let go of, the childish sort of behavior and thought pattern. And then now we're in the adult thought pattern that wants to move forward and really succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we've discussed about, you don't have to relive the trauma to go into this new pathway either.
You're not.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
If there is trauma, the trauma is looked at from an adult perspective, and it is reminded over and over and over again that we are looking at this from an adult perspective. We're an outsider looking in. We're only looking at a movie, a video. We're not feeling it. We just want to take a look at it. We understand, and then we move forward. We never stay in a trauma.
Yeah, which is what I like about it, because it's you're not having to relive those horrible feelings that caused the trauma in the first place. Eileen, what consideration steps can people take to get themselves into a state of self-hypnosis, so that when they're having a bad day, or, you know, something is, you know, interrupting their thought patterns, you know, how can they get into a state of bliss, I guess, you know, where they can
Yes.
control, you know, how they're feeling?
Yes. So know that the words in your mind, the words that you say, and the pictures in your mind are what create your future. So if you tell yourself that you can't, then you're going to create a picture of not doing it, and you're going to create a picture of failing. But when you tell yourself, whether you believe it or not, tell yourself, I can, I will do this, and be specific about it, then you start creating a picture in your mind of actually doing it. And your subconscious will move you forward. When your mind, your subconscious moves you forward in that direction, your body will do the same. You will feel the feelings, the hormones that are released, all the feel-good hormones that are released when you're thinking something positive and giving you energy will move you forward. Then you start getting into energy, right? So the energy that you put out is the same energy that comes back to you. So when you're putting out that positive energy, that same energy wants to, it's a magnet. It will attract back. And then before you know it, your new possibilities open up. People are starting to come up to you and say, hey, listen, I love what you're doing. I really want a part of that. Would you like to work with me? And the more that you do that, and the bigger that energy gets, the more the positive energy comes back to you. It's all about your thoughts. What are you telling yourself? Start there. When you wake up in the morning, the second you wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is what I'm doing today, and I'm super excited about that. And those highways are going to get thicker and thicker and thicker, and then you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Yep, that's absolutely true. You know, sometimes, you know, if you say bad and negative things to yourself, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really, isn't it? Because then it will happen, because the world is just a vibration. We're all vibrational beings.
Yes.
Everything on the planet has a vibration to it, and you know, the more that you tell yourself that you can't do stuff, then you know, it's painting a picture for your future, as you said. So you really need to, you know, use the positive affirmations and positive words, and, you know, positive self-talk, and to lift the vibration up, so that the vibration that you're giving is what you receive back.
Yes, said so well. Energy never dissipates, it only changes form. So everything that we can feel, everything that we can touch, everything that we see is all energy. And so, you know, it only changes form. And so when you think about your thoughts, that is still energy. And so if you put out positive energy vibrations, those have to attract magnetically back to you. If you're putting out the negative energy thoughts and vibrations, the only thing that it can attract is the negative right back to you. So change your thought patterns. And when you change your thought patterns, everything in your environment changes.
Absolutely. And then this is how people build successful businesses, is, you know, changing their thought patterns and saying, yes, I'm going to get that $10,000 this month, or I'm going to get that $1 million in 2 years' time, or whatever. You know, you keep repeating that to yourself, it lifts the vibration, and that good thing will come back to you. So you just need to keep saying positive things to yourself. You know, you don't have to say them out loud. You can just say them to yourself, because your subconscious is always listening. Doesn't matter when you say, you know, good things or bad things, but more often than not, it will listen more closely to the bad things.
That's right. And then when you say that, the subconscious says, oh, okay, just like a genie. Yes, this is what you want. Okay, I'm going to make that happen. And then it starts the process of making that happen. But when you say, I can't, the subconscious says, oh, just like a genie. Okay, I'm not going to make that happen. And I'm going to make you tired, and I'm going to make you sick, and I'm going to make you unconscious, and I'm going to make you not present, and I'm all these things, right? So if you say, yes, I will, yes, I will, yes, I will, you will be more energetic. Your body will want to go in that same direction. All the things that subconscious has power over, which is gosh, everything. It's your body, it's your mind, everything. It will move you toward the direction that you want to succeed in.
Absolutely. Now, tell me a little bit about the HypnoSlim Elite.
Yes. So HypnoSlim Elite. So what we found is we love working with women. We are women. I have a twin sister. We run this business together, and we are entrepreneurs at heart and soul. I have never worked for another company. I've always worked for myself. I'm 46 years old. I've been very successful, run many multi-million-dollar businesses. And the reason why is because the way the thought process, right? So it moves forward in that way. And so the trouble is that women have many things that are going on in their body that affect their mind. And so our hormones really get in the way of our energy, gets in the way of how we feel. When we break that 40 mark, we start to gain weight. We start to, we have physical ailments that really start to hold us back. And what we love is showing women how to move forward physically, mentally, and spiritually so that they can succeed phenomenally in their business. But when you wake up in the morning and you're exhausted because your estrogen is too high and you weigh 30 pounds more than you should, and you're holding on to weight because of water weight, and you are telling yourself that you're not good enough because you can't get the weight off because you have no idea how, because really the majority of the weight loss fitness industry is men, and they don't really get the hormonal piece of it. And sorry, I love men, but it is the way it is, right? We're different beings. Then our businesses suffer. And we noticed that when we got to 40, we were bomb, 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 bomb until we got to 40. And then the hormones started changing and everything started changing. And so now HypnoSlim Elite is about that A-type entrepreneur, celebutante, go-getter bomb that wants to succeed in the most magnificent ways, but she doesn't know why she's the wallflower now, because she was not the wallflower before. And now she is so freaking exhausted, and she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know how to get out of that. And that's what we do for women, is help them. It is a clinical process of figuring out the hormones. It's figuring out what you're eating. It's figuring out your exercises, but it's also figuring out your mind and getting mind, body, spirit connected all together and figuring out your specific chemistry that allows you to move forward in the most flamboyant and freaking crazy ways, right? So when you get over those processes of my estrogen is 3,000 when it should be 300, how do we get there first? And then how do we get the weight off? Then when you get the weight off, you're feeling powerful. There's something about, I succeeded in that. Then everything else is so easy. It just moves forward. So we start with the mind, the body, and then we start to move forward. And by the time we're done with the trifecta, is what we call it, the soul is completely aligned with the mind and the body. And there is not a thing that the woman feels like she cannot accomplish.
Oh, something that we all need, because, honestly, media has a lot to answer for. I think, they've got,
yes.
There are plus size women and they're happy to be plus size women, but, why does society and the media have to say that you have to be a size 0 or, or
Yes.
in Australia, it's like a size 8. So honestly, some people can't be a size 8. It's impossible for them to even get to a size 8, but a 14 or a 16, is a good size. I mean, back in the 50s, you look at the bodies there. Marilyn Monroe, for instance, she had a big butt and she had a big bosom. So, she had a skinny waist, of course, but honestly, that was the norm. You weren't this hourglass figure. It was just,
That's right.
and then
That's right.
society changed in the 60s. That's where the trouble started.
Yes. And that is, it's actually something in the program that we talk about. So now these days, if you walk by, Victoria's Secret, they have the plus size mannequins. If you go into Nike, they have the plus size mannequins, but the sizing of the mannequins are not a healthy size. And then you go to the other side of the mannequins and they're super, super skinny. And that also is not a healthy size. So what we advocate is right in the middle. Why do we have to be this or this? Can we just be in the middle where your body is actually naturally, healthily happy? And then when you feel there and you feel good in your clothes and you feel confident and you feel all these things that you're supposed to feel, then we can just get rid of all of this imposter syndrome and move forward to the things that we were meant to do, why we are here. What is your purpose? Let's move forward in your purpose. What do you love to do? What are you successful with? Let's let all that go and let's move forward with things that you came here to do. And then that's when they feel empowered and they move forward. And the business really, at the end of the day, at that point, is a non-issue. Because their emotions are involved. Their emotions are in line with exactly who they are. And then they can move forward in such a streamless way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, society places so much pressure on women to look a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way. Even now, I would have thought in this day and age that would not be the case. I mean, even, plus size clothing is ugly. I mean, unless you can afford to go to a boutique, it's all baggy and saggy and it's not stylish at all. And as I said, unless you can afford, designer clothes, but you go off the rack and they are absolutely ugly. And even I wouldn't buy them. And I'm a plus size woman. So, I'd rather just use the stuff that I have and not go and buy anything else because I want to look nice and I want to look presentable when I go out. And, I don't want something that makes me look I'm dressed in a gunny sack.
Yes, that's right. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel proud. You want to present yourself in the way that you feel inside. And so when we work on the internal and really build out who it is that you are and who it is that you want to be, and then you start to exude that, it's the same energy thing. You start putting out that energy, right? And so then when the energy starts to come out, whether or not you drop a pound or not, really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when you are exuding that energy of, yes, I can, and I am super, super confident that I can, everything else falls into place. You don't want to go grab the cookies or the, whatever it is, whatever the vice is. We have, actually, it doesn't even matter. Like the plus size really is just one symptom. I have countless binge eaters that are super, super skinny. You would never even know that they were binge eaters. And the majority of the binge eaters are hollow on the inside. They don't feel whole. They don't feel full. They don't feel accomplished. They don't feel enough. Again, always the enough. And so it doesn't matter what your body looks like. It matters what you think of yourself.
Absolutely.
That's what we work on.
Yeah, it's right. And I wish society would stop, putting labels on people and, and the general public would stop fat shaming.
Yes, that's right.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyway, we'll get off that subject. Eileen, where can people find you, or where can they find the Hypno Slim Elite?
Yes, so HypnoLife365.com is the website, and we have all of the programs there. It goes way beyond Hypno Slim Elite, quitting smoking, getting past addictions. Addictions is a huge thing. Eating, Hypno Slim Elite really was focused on the eating addiction, but the eating addiction always tapers into your success, right? Whatever addiction that you might have tapers into the success. So we deal with a great deal with addictions, even if it's opioids or painkillers or whatever it is, depression medications. Getting past that and releasing all of the dependencies of the addictions so that you can move forward in your life and really succeed in the businesses that you want to succeed in, to really fulfill what it is that you are here to fulfill. That's what we work on. That is our main agenda. And so we call it the trifecta. It's mind, body, spirit connection, 100%. You've got to have all three aligned. And with the alignment of all three, success is a non-issue.
Yeah, you're unstoppable.
It just comes with it. So HypnoLife 365, and then our YouTube channel is HypnoLife, at HypnoLife, and then most of the rest of our social media is at HypnoLife 365.
Wonderful. Eileen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you were to give some words of wisdom to anybody, doesn't matter what age group or what gender, what would that be?
Pay attention to the words that you're saying to yourself. It is absolutely important. Your 5% of your conscious mind is nothing compared to the subconscious mind. And when your conscious mind says, I'm not worthy, your 95% of your subconscious mind is listening, and it will make damn sure that you're not worthy. So you tell your subconscious mind that you are worthy, that you can, and that you will. And I promise you that you will.
Absolutely. Great words. It's something that we need to all take note of and live by every single day. Eileen, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.